How could Nintendo revive F-Zero to return in new ways? Let's talk about that. Welcome to Switch Click Podcast episode 143, recorded on July 4th, 2023. My name is Dakota, and today I'm joined by Tyler.
Hello!
And Nathan.
Hi there.
Now, last week, you guys talked about reviving 2D series from Nintendo. And this week, just so happened that in the news, from an interview from VGC, I believe the designer?
You would know the best of the three of us, I think.
I don't know. It says the now retired 30-year Nintendo veteran Takuya Imamura, who designed characters such as Captain Falcon, Fox McCloud, and for some reason Tingle. He did an interview recently with VGC, and people have been taking this quote and running with it to make news, and we are doing the same. The quote is about F-Zero, and if he thinks that it'll come back or not. The question was, so why do you think F-Zero gets less attention from the company than Star Fox does? There hasn't been a new F-Zero game for almost 20 years. He answers with, I think it's because Mario Kart is Nintendo's most popular racing game, and a new F-Zero would cost a fortune. My impression is that Miyamoto is very affectionate about Star Fox. Yeah, he loves Star Fox, and it's not...
He really likes Star Fox. But I don't know how he feels about it now, after his two attempts at trying to bring it back.
Yeah, the Star Fox fans, similar, not to the same degree as F-Zero fans, have kind of been living off of Smash Bros. For the past while in good representation. Because I don't what's like widely considered the last good Star Fox?
Good Star Fox? Star Fox 2, technically, I guess. Because
actually,
that was released really
very
late.
good.
That's not very good? Okay. Then
I've heard it's not very good. It's slightly unfinished.
I just know...
I'd say probably 64 was the last good one.
64.
You could count 64 DS.
Twilight Wars.
I was trying to play
Star
Fox. Sure. I think it was Star Fox 64. I was trying to play the other day, and it has I think all the old Star Foxes, if you have like a game over mechanic where you start at the beginning, and I hate old games that do that so much.
Oh yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Time waster.
Yeah, it really does just feel like they're trying to waste my time. But like Star Fox, F-Zero I feel could have a random, completely out of the left field game that could Star Fox, it kind of ruined credibility a little bit further with Star Fox Adventures. Is that what it's called? The one with Crystal in it?
Yeah, that's GameCube.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe with F-Zero, that could be a great way to breathe some fresh air into the franchise.
But obviously, we have to address the elephant in the room that we already talked about earlier, with Mario Kart still existing.
Yes.
Yeah. It has to be way different than Mario Kart. And I think one of the main problems is just the Switch's hardware if they want to make a game where you go fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not impossible. If you look back in the PS3, they had a game called Wipeout, not Wipeout the parkour obstacle course game, but Wipeout as in the super fast sci-fi racer game.
Was that game called Wipeout?
It's called Wipeout, yeah. Wipeout HD, Wipeout Fury on the PS3. I think it was also on the PS Vita.
Whoa, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's basically like I'd say it's heavily inspired by the F-Zero franchise. It's also sci-fi. It also involves really high speed races. I don't think it's impossible to do it. I don't think it's impossible to do it on the Switch hardware, especially if we're talking about older hardware.
And yeah, like F-Zero has always been based off of like racing game, except it's like really difficult and very like the visual of a car going so fast that everything's super blurry, but you're still like grinding against edges in like a chaotic fashion. That's at least what my thoughts always go to with F-Zero. Like it's a very just like not like rough around the edges, but in like a good way kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, most people have only played the original, which is understandable.
Yeah.
It's the
Because
most
if you look at this,
accessible.
if you look at the sales data, the first game peaked its sales at
Oh, that's so
2.85 million, and then the next one got 1.1, next one got 1.05, and then it got to F-Zero GX on the GameCube, 0.6, what is that, 600,
Ouch.
nearly 700,000 copies.
That is
And
that
then
is painful.
after that, there's an F-Zero game on the Game Boy. Two of
Really?
them?
Really?
Yeah, there's one in 2004, F-Zero Climax. It did 0.005 million.
So what is that?
Was it like
No.
50K? That can't be
50K?
right.
That sounds like 50K.
That might be 50K.
There's no
Yeah.
way that's right.
This was the
I mean,
last
the
F-Zero
fact
game
that
released.
none of us have heard about it, and like, if it was well known, that or like at least decently well known, it'd be on so many like forgotten Nintendo games that you've never
Yeah.
heard of YouTube
Well,
videos.
It's the last F-Zero game ever released so far.
It was only released in Japan.
Oh, no
Yeah.
wonder.
That
Maybe
would
that's
do
why,
it.
no. Maybe that's why. Because there's a number of games that are also exclusive to Japan.
Yeah.
What's
Oh
with
dear.
Nintendo and like ending their franchise with a Japanese exclusive? I'm trying to think of. I'm
Mother 3.
really trying my hardest to just strap Mother 3 into this, but it's not a. I like halfway through my sentence realized it's not a Game Boy Advance game.
I mean, it's a good test market most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's true. Yeah,
I think the reason I mentioned the Switch's hardware earlier is for some reason, like, you know how on Xbox they have the Forza series,
Yep.
and you can only go a certain speed in that game because of the hardware. I
Yep.
think they max out on the Xbox One, it was like 190, and then on Xbox Series X it's like 210 or something.
But
you
which
can only
Forza
go
game are we talking about?
Specifically, I think Forza Horizon 5
Oh,
or 4.
okay, Vils. Obviously,
Those are
because
open world games.
like yeah, if they're gonna make an open world game, of course it's gonna be limited. But if we're talking about
yeah.
like a narrow track, and we're talking about developers that actually work specifically with the hardware, then I doubt I doubt they need something stronger than that.
True.
I'm trying to think of. Do you know? Does like PlayStation have a premier racing game?
Gran
Because it feels like
Turismo?
every. Is it Gran Turismo?
It's Gran
That's the only
Turismo.
one.
Okay. Yeah, because it like every console has one, and then any others that try to fit in tend to die a little bit. Like Nintendo, like F-Zero didn't live on, but Mario Kart is the biggest racing game. You have Forza for the Xbox, Gran Turismo for the for PlayStation stuff, and I would argue that like PC, Trackmania has been destroying all like big racing games that have come out on Steam.
I think so. Yeah, there's a very broad PC racing game field. You can either get super realistic, super arcadey, or like a sandbox game.
Yeah. I do think on average, if you're putting a game on a PC, people like primarily PC gamers tend to prefer like a technical experience, which I think Trackmania loves to do.
Yeah, and Nintendo has the arcadey down to a science.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much you pick up and play, beat it, and you've had your fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm thinking they could maybe angle it similar to like kind of like speedrun games, like how Neon White did it. If you there's multiple paths and you can just keep beating your time, stuff like that.
Yeah, that could be
People
a fun
love
way
that
to
kind
do
of
it.
stuff.
That is actually a very viable option considering how very little Mario Kart's actually focused on like the time trial type of thing. Like
Yeah.
it's always been much more of a competitive game, or well, casually competitive game, rather than something that you try to beat yourself at.
Yeah. And it is wild. Like, not that they would ever do this, but Captain Falcon is a much bigger character than F-Zero is as a franchise. To the
Yeah.
point where, like, they could literally just make a Captain Falcon game, and I think it would maybe do better.
E+ tier in Smash Ultimate, so I mean, why not?
Yeah, like
I'm
I think
looking.
yeah, it's weird that they could just slap Captain Falcon into like a completely other like separate genre of game.
They could call
And
they could title it Captain Falcon, and that title alone could sell even more
yeah,
than F-Zero.
I think so. I think Captain Falcon as a title is more marketable, which is insane to think.
That's so sad. What does the F in F-Zero even mean? Falcon Zero? Or
Well, it
like
might be.
speed?
I think it has to do something with speed. Let me just double check.
I think it's got to be something with speed. There's no way.
Something with speed. It's something with speed.
Oh, I think it's just like Formula One because it's called
Oh,
F1.
Formula Zero. Oh,
Wait, how did nobody?
Yeah, Formula One, F1 racing, and
That
then
seems so
Yeah.
obvious.
F-Zero racing. Yeah. How,
Fair enough, I guess.
good job. Good job.
The philosophical reasoning behind F-Zero, and then it's just like,
And it's just a play on F1 racing.
yeah, we just drop it down, just drop
With
it down
zero-
a letter number.
But Zero being associated with futuristic stuff is kind of
That is true.
yeah.
It's a very 80s thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think another thing that I mentioned before the show is that they could even do like a challenging open world where you walk around as your custom character, similar to how Street Fighter 6 is doing it right now.
Yeah.
And I think F-Zero has a lot of characters that they could use because they've introduced them a lot in the GameCube one specifically. They fleshed out a few of them. So you walk around, challenge the guys, challenge random racers. It doesn't have to be street racing or anything. You can, I don't know, also
That's
make a custom track maker. Then there you go, you got your game.
The open world when you challenge someone, it's like slot car racing, except it's slot car racing mixed with like Beyblade.
Yeah,
they
it's
just
not
set out a little
actually
track
life
on the ground.
scale. Wait, that's actually kind of interesting. I know that the Hot
Yeah.
Wheels game just got a sequel,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
they just pull that.
And I think that could totally work. I don't know. It doesn't feel very F-Zero-y, but at the same time, I don't think it has to because
It's
again,
F-Zero Origins. You play as little kid
Whoa!
versions of them, and just
Oh
the
my
little
gosh.
Captain Falcon, pull up baby Muppets. Sorry,
yeah.
Muppet babies.
But then
I'm actually
everything's
down
gonna be
for
so,
that.
so much slower.
Nah, Captain Falcon's built different. He goes back in time. Boom. There you go.
Captain Falcon goes back in
Full-grown
time.
man in his own baby body, but still like buff.
I do think like the fact that honestly, even if it was like slot car weird like or even like RC car racing or something where you're like going around a city, it's such a weird series that has like so many characters. Like there's so many characters that are never going to be used again because of just how F-Zero has kind of died as a franchise to the point where I feel like the casual person doesn't really know anything about the series.
Which
Yeah, you could just do anything with it.
yeah. It's kind of scary though. Like even if they do try to change up the formula, how well do you think it's gonna attract people like
Yeah.
any type of gamer in there? Like especially if, Mario Kart exists.
Mhm.
What is there? How do you justify them? Like even if it's a different formula, how do you justify it for them to play this game? What makes it look attractive to them?
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately the one thing that like the designer was probably looking into as well, because the art style of this is kind of more geared towards slightly older audiences. It's not like completely cartoon
Yeah.
like Mario.
It's like comic booky almost.
Yeah, comic book. And we saw how that kind of worked out with actually I wouldn't say ARMS, but you know what?
Yeah. Arms
It
kind of works.
That's more of a cartoon.
is kind of there. Yeah, it's just like I don't know if art is something that could factor into how many people would be jumping into this game. We couldn't have cartoony We couldn't have cartoony Captain Falcon.
Yeah, there's no way.
No way to do that. No way they're gonna do that. But like,
what if I just thought about this because the art for the FZero Climax game looks very like 80s, 90s retro anime.
yeah,
How people are making music for that right now. It's like lo-fi almost. And I'm thinking, why don't they just pull a Into the Spider-Verse and make the entire game that art style?
I mean,
I
Not
still
really
don't.
3D models, but
I don't know how well that translates to racing. Like it might look. It could be very, very pretty. It's so difficult for Nintendo to market literally any other racing game because they have the king of all racing games still selling like crazy.
with
true.
with new content still coming out.
Mm-hmm. Like it's such a weird problem that a beloved series has fallen into that it's just so unbelievably outclassed by a little Italian guy in a go-kart.
Who does happen to race on 2 of his tracks, anyways?
Yeah. He was gotten big enough to steal his tracks from him.
Yeah.
Perhaps in the next Mario Kart, there's a new CC, 0cc, and you're just going
my
blinding
gosh.
fast.
Yeah,
Zero
like
CC. Oh dear.
F-Zero coming back, like I feel like the most plausible way for F-Zero to come back is as a mode in a Mario Kart game.
That's so unfortunate.
At that point, they'd have to it'd have to be Nintendo Kart, and they'd have to include so many more characters.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
But that'd be a very sad way to reintroduce F-Zero.
It's like actually it's such a like limping franchise. It is the more we're talking about this, the more I'm realizing like every other kind of dying dead franchise on the in like Smash Bros and stuff could come back, but F-Zero it feels like almost impossible.
I think if F-Zero just got a completely different genre, and went with what people know Captain Falcon for.
Yeah, you need like a Captain Falcon beat 'em up game.
Beat him up, yeah. Make him like a beat him, like make a beat him up game. Make him like a superhero. Make him like a Street Fighter, not Street Fighter, but like have a like if they were to make just some sort of beat 'em up or fighting game with Captain Falcon.
Yeah,
I think that'll turn people's heads more than just another F-Zero racing game. Just because of the fact just how much his brand, like just his character itself, has changed over the years.
honestly,
Literally, like after F-Zero Climax, it's really just been Captain Falcon fighting.
yeah, he's probably more well known for fighting than racing. I could honestly see like like a Captain Falcon game being like a high budget neon white essentially.
Oh,
Like a because I'm just thinking like even in Smash Bros his character is kind of going fast. So I feel like they play into that. His whole thing is that he's just like get through levels as fast as possible. But it is Nintendo, so they always want like some fun gimmick that like no other game has touched that they would like toss in to the mix to make it interesting.
so what?
But
They make a
yeah,
F-Zero game with with more fighting mechanics now, and what? Captain Falcon can hop out of his racer and start beating other racers up while in the midst of a
Wait, that's
fast
actually
moving track.
insane. It's like a first-person or third-person game, kind of like
Just
Breath of the Wild view, and you
person
can jump
game.
out of your cart.
You
Oh,
jump out of the
wait a
carts,
minute.
You hop
honestly,
high speed race or high speed chase, and you jump across to the next car and like try to beat up opponents and take down as many racers as possible. Or you're maybe in an
It's
arena
actually
doing it.
great. I love it.
it's
That'd
like
be-
Sonic R almost, but you're on top of the car. Like it's just a racing game where everyone is out of their car, just running on foot really fast.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of-
like what people thought of in the Mario movie when Mario like got his cart destroyed, landed on the Koopa, destroyed the Koopa, and took over his
Yeah,
cart.
exactly
Yeah,
that.
Wait a
I mean, we
minute.
could probably blend it in with maybe like Rocket League or something with a more arena based approach, or they
Ooh.
could do it on the midst of a high-speed racetrack. Either one of those, I'm open for.
Let him
Um,
cook. Let him cook.
That.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
He's got to do the Falcon Punch if they're gonna make a game
Yeah.
for him. Like he's got to do it because that's what people know him for nowadays.
Hero
Yeah.
Fighter racing game.
Hero
Yeah,
Fighter racing game.
Weird. Yeah, what a weird thing.
We landed on it. All right, Nintendo. Now you gotta make this.
And just imagine how they would implement multiplayer for this.
That'd be so. You're just driving and you just get obliterated by like
This is how you ruin friendships.
Blood
even
Falcon
more.
or something. And you're like,
It's all in
no.
first person. A dude lands on your car, opens the hatch, grabs you, and pulls you out. This actually sounds sick in like
Like
VR or something. But
commandeering a car in GTA, but your friend's the one in the car.
exactly, dude.
Except you.
Now I
except you
really
end
want
up.
this game.
Oh, now you really want.
Now you know what we feel with shoot, WarioWare Land.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
still
Wario
thinking
Lands.
about it.
I know, right? That
It's so
blending,
upsetting.
just blending the two identities
We're
together.
adding onto the pile.
Yeah, just I think if F-Zero were to blend his so-called Smash counterpart into his
Smash
racing,
Persona.
his Smash persona into the actual racing formula, this could turn out to be probably one of the craziest racing games ever made.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a game like that would either be really, really good or like so unbelievably complicated.
Yeah, it would have to be like really limited. You'd be doing like time-based button mashes,
Mhm.
something like
Yeah,
that.
it'd definitely be weird.
Yeah. I mean, the day that F-Zero shows up in Nintendo Direct is the day that all Nintendo fans are questioning it.
Yeah, it's gonna be either the really best reaction or the most questionable one.
Knowing Smash fans, it'll be a big reaction. Because I think the only F-Zero fans are now Smash fans.
It's
Unfortunately,
true. It's gonna be
except for
like
that.
when Diddy Kong gets a 3-second cameo in the Mario movie and you're watching with Kaiser.
Oh my gosh,
That's like your one friend who likes F-Zero watching the Nintendo Direct with you.
he's gonna say it's peak fiction again.
The 6 people in the world would be popping off so hard right now.
Thank you for joining us in discussing how Nintendo could revive F-Zero. We'd love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our community Discord server to continue today's discussion. And we'll see you next time on the Switch Clicks podcast.